Once, long ago, in a land far away, there lived a poor little character who ran through a maze, looking for cheese, nourish them, make them happy. Two were mine, named Sniff, and Scurry, and two little people, brains who were as small as mice, but who looked and acted like people today. Their names were Ham and Hoa. Due to their small size, it is not to notice the fault with doing. But if you look closely enough, you could discover the most amazing thing. Every day, the mice and little people spent time in little people looking for their own special cheese. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, possessing only simple word brains but good instinct, searched for the hard, nibbling cheese they liked, as mice often do. Two little people, Ham and Hoa, used their brain, filled their many beliefs, to search for very different kind of cheese with a capital C, which they believe they makes them feel happy and successful. As different as mice and little people were, they shared something in common. Every morning they each put on their jogging suit and running shoes, left their little homes, and raced out into the maze, looking for cheese. The maze was a labyrinth of corridor and chamber. Some contained delicious cheese, but there were also dark corners and blind alleys leading nowhere. It was an easy place for anyone to get lost. However, the lost for who found their way, the maze holds secrets that let them enjoy a better life. The mice, Sniff and Scurry, used the simple trial and error method found in cheese. They ran out one corridor, and the fruit that they turned ran down another. They remembered cards of cheese and quickly named areas. Sniff will smell out the general direction of cheese using a great nose, and Scurry would race ahead. They got lost, in my respect, when they often lost direction and often bumped into the walls. However, the two little people, Ham and Hoa, had very complex brains. It believed simple motion, the made life mean complicated and challenging. They rely more fixed at finding cheese, but pending ability to think and learn from their past experience, or their ability sometimes clouded by the way looked at things. Eventually, in their way, they all discover what they're looking for. They each found their own kind of cheese one day, at the end of the corridor in Cheese Station C. Every morning after that, the mice and little people dressed in running gear and headed over to Cheese Station C. It was long before they established their own routine. Sniff and Scurry continued to wake a little every day, and Lester made always following the same route. When they arrived their destination, the mice took off their running shoes, tied them together, and hung them around their necks, so they could get to them quickly whenever they needed them again. Then they enjoyed the cheese. In the beginning, Ham and Hoa also raced toward Cheese Station C every morning to enjoy the taste new more than with them. But after a while, a different routine set in for the little people. Ham and Hoa awoke each day a little later, dressed slower, and walked to Cheese Station C. After all, they knew where the cheese was how to get there. They had no idea where the cheese came from, who put it there. They just assumed it would be there. As soon as Ham and Hoa arrived at Cheese Station C, it's morning, they settled there and made themselves at home. They hung up their jogging suit, put away their running shoes, and put on their slippers. They were become very comfortable now that How had found the cheese. This is great, Ham said. There's There's enough cheese here to last forever. The little people felt happy and successful and thought they were now secure. It wasn't long before Ham and Hoa regarded the cheese they found at Cheese Station C as their cheese. It was such a large store of cheese that they eventually moved their home to become closer to it and social life around it. To make themselves feel more home, Ham and Hoa decorated the wall with stains and even drew a picture of cheese around them, which made them smile. One read, "Having cheese makes you happy." Sometimes Ham and Hoa would take their friends by to their pile cheese station C and point with their pride, saying, "Pretty nice cheese, huh?" Sometimes they shared with their friends, and sometimes they didn't. "We deserve this cheese," Ham said. "We certainly had to work long and hard to find it." He picked up the nice fresh piece and ate it. Afterward, Ham fell asleep, as he often did. Every night the little people would walk home full of cheese, and every morning every confident returned for more. This went on quite some time. After a while, Ham and Hoa's confidence grew into the arrogant success. Soon they became so comfortable they didn't even notice what was happening. As time went on, Sniff and Scurry continued their routine. They arrived early each morning and sniff and scratch and scurry around Cheese Station C, inspecting the area to see if there had been changed the day before. Then they would sit down nibble on the cheese. One morning they arrived at Cheese Station C and discovered there was no cheese. They weren't surprised, since Sniff and Scurry noticed the fried cheese had been getting smaller every day. They were prepared for the inevitable and knew instinctively what to do. They looked at each other, removed their running shoes they had tied together and hung convenient around their necks, put them on their feet, and laced them up. The minds did not overanalyze things to the mind when problem and the answer were both simple. The cities in the Cheese Station C have changed, so Sniff and Scurry decided to change. They both looked out of the maze. Then Sniff lifted his nose, sniffed, and nodded to Scurry, who took off running the maze, where Sniff followed as fast as he could. They were quickly off in search of new cheese. Later that same day, Ham and Hoa arrived at Cheese Station C. They had not prepared intention for changing taking place each day, so they took for granted their cheese would be there. They were unprepared for what they found. "What? No cheese?" Ham yelled. He continued to yell, "No cheese? No cheese?" As though if you shouted loud enough, someone would put back. "Who moved my cheese?" he howled. Finally, he put his hands on his hips, his face turned red, and he screamed at the top of his voice, "It's not fair!" Hoa just shook his head in disbelief. He too had counted on finding cheese at Cheese Station C. He stood there for a long time, frozen with shock. He was just not ready for this. Ham was yelling something, but Hoa didn't want to hear it. He didn't want to deal with what was facing him, so he just tuned everything out. The little people's behavior was not very attractive or productive, but it was understandable. Finding cheese wasn't easy, and it meant a great deal more than little people just having people have every day. Not the eat every day. Finding cheese was the real people's way of getting what they were very happy. They had no ideas what cheese meant to them, depending on their taste. For some, finding cheese was having material things. For others, it was enjoying good health or developing a spiritual sense of well-being. For Hoa, cheese just meant feeling safe, having a loving family someday, and living in a cozy car on shared lane. To him, cheese was becoming a big cheese in charge of others and owning a big house top Camembert Hill. Because cheese was important to them, two little people spent a long time trying to decide what to do. All they could think of was keep looking around Cheeseless Station C to see if the cheese was really gone. While Sniff and Scurry had quickly moved on, Ham and Hoa continued to hem and Hoa. Hoa started to get depressed. What would happen if the cheese wasn't there tomorrow? Humans featured playing wrestling with the cheese. The little people couldn't believe it. How could this happen? No one would wonder what wasn't right. That was not the way things were supposed to be. Ham and Hoa went home at night, hungry, discouraged. But their father left. Hoa wrote on the wall, "The more important your cheese is to you, the more you will hold on to it." The next day, Ham and Hoa left their home. They returned to Station C again with their sticky packs with somehow the situation has the cheese were longer there. Situation has changed. The fine their cheese. It still hadn't changed. Cheese were longer there. The people what to do. Ham and Hoa just stood there immobilized, like two statues. Hoa shut his eyes and Tyler could put his hand over his ear. He just wanted to block everything out. He didn't want to know cheese supply had gradually been getting smaller. He believed he'd moved all of a sudden. Ham analyzed the situation over and over, and eventually his complicated brain with his huge belief system took hold. "Why did they do this to me?" he demanded. "What's really going on here?" Finally, Hoa opened his eyes, looked around, and said, "By the way, where are Snip and Scurry? Do you think they know something we don't?" Ham scoffed. "What would they know?" Ham continued. "They're just simple minds. They just respond to what happened. We are little people. We are special. We should be able to figure this out." "I know we're smarter," Hoa said, "but we don't seem to be acting smart at the moment. Things change around here, Ham. Maybe we need to change and do things differently." "Or why should we change?" Ham asked. "We're real people. We are special. This sort of things not happen to us, or if it does, we should at least get some benefit." Why should we get benefit? Why should benefit? Hoa asked. "Because we're entitled," Ham claimed. "Entitled to what?" Hoa wanted to know. "We're entitled to our cheese." "Why?" Hoa asked. "Because we didn't cause this problem," Ham said. "Somebody else did this and we just get some out of it." Hoa suggested maybe we should stop analyzing the situation so much and just get going and find some new cheese. "Oh no," Ham argued. "I'm gonna get to the bottom of this." While Ham and Hoa were still trying to decide what to do, Snip and Scurry were already one way. They went farther into the maze, up and down corridor, looking for cheese, every cheese station they could find. They didn't think of anything else but finding new cheese. They didn't find any for some time until they found the